The retribution tour continues. Donald Trump is denying FEMA aid to North Carolina in connection with Hurricane Helene. You'll recall we previously reported how Donald Trump denied FEMA aid to Georgia. Democratic governor in North Carolina, Republican Governor Kemp in Georgia. Donald Trump doesn't like either, and Donald Trump previously said recently that he wants to gut FEMA, get rid of it. He says he's going to replace it with the states, whatever that means, and that it's going to be much bigger and more beautiful and better. But Donald Trump not supporting people with emergency aid who lost their lives and lost their life savings or lost their shelter or lost their homes because of devastating hurricanes. You don't get much more low than that, actually, when it's Donald Trump. There's really no depths to his depravity. North Carolina voted for Donald Trump. Okay, Georgia voted for Donald Trump. Former President Biden immediately activated FEMA when it came to the national emergencies in both of those states over and over again, no questions asked, and supported those states relentlessly, only for Donald Trump to go into those states and lie and claim that FEMA was stealing. Remember what Trump said during the campaign? That he would make FEMA so much better, that during his term, FEMA was the greatest thing ever. And he said FEMA was stealing the money from the people of North Carolina and Georgia and elsewhere and giving it to illegal aliens, is what he said. And then Donald Trump convinced his supporters, and this was echoed on state regime media known as Fox and all the propagandists, that FEMA wasn't giving money to people and that FEMA was just helping the migrants. And people believed that and then voted for Donald Trump. Take a look right here at the letter that Donald Trump just sent to the governor of North Carolina, Governor Josh Stein, where Trump says, quote, "It has been determined that the increased level of funding is not warranted in a emergency caused by a hurricane." This is the official letter from FEMA to Governor Stein. This is in response to your February 20th, 2025 request for an extension to the cost share waiver under major disaster FEMA-4827-DR that was declared on September 28, 2024 due to Tropical Storm Helene. You specifically requested an extension of the 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance, for an additional 180 days. On September 25th, 2024, the federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance, was increased to 100% for 180 days from the start of the incident period pursuant to the statute. And then it goes on to say on December 6, 2024, the federal cost share for all categories of assistance, including direct federal assistance, was increased to 90% of total eligible costs, except for assistance previously approved at 100%. This cost share adjustment is for the lifetime of the disaster. Based on our review of all, by the way, that was all under former President Biden. Based on our review, the Trump regime's review of all information available, it has been determined that the increased level of funding you have requested for major disaster is not warranted. Therefore, I must inform you that your request for an extension of the period of 100% federal funding for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance for an additional 180 days, is denied. Doesn't that look awfully similar to the letter? By the way, from when the request was made by North Carolina, February 20th, 2025, they're now getting a letter April 11th, 2025. Doesn't exactly sound like government efficiency to me. And it also feels retaliatory and the height of cruelty. I mean, what do you think a federal government's supposed to do? I guess for Donald Trump, it's make people suffer and boost his ego. Like, this is the role of the federal government. And by the way, Georgia got a letter like this February 12th, 2025, similar letter. Dear Governor Kemp, This is in response to your January 2025 request for an extension to the cost share waiver under major disaster relief, FEMA dash the same thing, on September 30th, 2024 due to Hurricane Helene. It goes and talks about how Biden approved it for 180 days. It's now expired. And then Donald Trump says that he's denying it. Your request is therefore denied. And it goes and says that right there. We're going to closely monitor it, but it is hereby denied. Now, I'll just want to refresh your recollection here about what went down. So when Donald Trump was in these various states and he was talking about FEMA spending their funds on things like, here's part of Donald Trump's campaign speech where he says, FEMA was great under the first Trump administration. We had tremendous success. And then he attacks Biden. Let's play this clip.
Everything will be beautiful once I take office. Everything's going to... They spent all their funds. They have no funds to take care. They have no funds. They have no workers. They have no nothing. FEMA, we had such a good FEMA. FEMA was great under Trump. That I can tell you. We had tremendous success.
You're smart enough to know when something's not working. Like when you can't focus at work, or when you're dragging by 2 p.m., or when your stomach feels like it's fighting you after every meal. Well, here's the thing. These aren't random symptoms. Your gut impacts everything from your digestion to your brain function to your energy levels. That's why we love Just Thrive Probiotic. Unlike other brands that make big promises but fall apart in your stomach, Just Thrive is the only probiotic clinically proven to arrive in your gut 100% alive. For you, that means real results like better digestion, healthy immunity, and more energy to tackle your day. But don't just take our word for it. Try Just Thrive Probiotic for 90 days and see how much better you feel. If you don't notice a difference, they'll refund every penny, even if the bottle's empty. Start your 90-day risk-free trial today at justthrivehealth.com and use promo code Meidas to save 20% on your first bottle. That's justthrivehealth.com, promo code Meidas.
This is what Donald Trump said when he was in North Carolina in October of 2024. He says, FEMA's not supposed to be spending the money on taking it out on spending it on illegal migrants. Play this clip.
Probably less FEMA because FEMA just hasn't done the job. And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I like, frankly, the concept when North Carolina gets hit, the governor takes care of it. When Florida gets hit, the governor takes care of it, meaning the state takes care of it. To have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me. But this is probably one of the best examples of it not working. And there's been some others, like in Louisiana, etc. So we're going to be doing something on FEMA that I think most people agree. I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half, and you're going to get a lot quicker response. So that seems to be the recommendation, but we'll be making that recommendation over the next couple of weeks. We're going to go to...
A reporter asked Trump in North Carolina on October 21, 2024, how an armed man was arrested for threatening FEMA workers because Donald Trump's lies were activating MAGA people to terrorize FEMA workers. And here's what Trump said. Play this clip.
President Trump, an armed gunman was arrested charged with making threats against FEMA workers 2 Saturdays ago. FEMA had a safety stand down because of continued credible threats. Is it helping the recovery effort in North Carolina to keep making these claims that FEMA's not doing their job?
Well, I think you have to let people know how they're doing. If they were doing a great job, I think we should say that too, because I think they should be rewarded. But if they're not doing, does that mean that if they're doing a poor job, we're supposed to not say it? These people are entitled to say it. And these are honest people behind this. If FEMA were doing well, they would be saying they did a good job. They're not, for the most part, political people. For the most part, they're not political people. But you've obviously seen nothing but very bad statements coming out about the job that FEMA and this administration has done having to do with this area, North Carolina as a whole. And by the way, other states also, they're also complaining.
But look, a lot of the money is gone. They don't have any money. They have to have a meeting in Washington, a special meeting in Washington to get money. It's all gone. They've spent it on illegal migrants. Many of them are murderers. Many of them are drug dealers. Many of them come out of mental institutions and insane asylums. And many of them are terrorists. And they spent money to bring these people into our country, and they don't have money to take care of the people from North Carolina and other states. So, I think you have to be able to speak. Does that mean let's not talk about it? Because by doing that, they'll do a better job the next time. It's very important. Yeah, one more question.
And now let me also show you some receipts. This is what Governor Kemp said when he was asked about, this is in response to Hurricane Helene, where Governor Kemp is asked about when Biden was in office. Did Biden give you a call? Did Biden reach out to you? Because Trump was lying and saying Biden refused to call Kemp. Here, play this clip.
So I just spoke. The president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
And here's the former governor of North Carolina, Governor Cooper, letting former Vice President Harris know when she was in the area the amount of support that the Biden administration gave to North Carolina. Play this clip.
Well, Madam Vice President, we are so glad to see you and welcome you once again to North Carolina. This has been an unprecedented disaster for our state. But what you are seeing, thanks to you and the Biden-Harris administration, state and local officials, volunteers, private organizations, this has been a massive, unprecedented response. We are deeply grateful for the federal resources that we have. FEMA has been on the ground with us since the very beginning of this. So we look forward to briefing and giving you details about the significant progress that's happening and all that we have to do. Unfortunately, we have 68 people who've lost their lives, but people are still working hard in search and rescue to save people and to surge resources into Western North Carolina. So thank you for being here.
Then remember, on January 24th, 2025, a few days into the Trump regime, Donald Trump visited North Carolina, and this is what he said about FEMA. Let's play this clip.
So that's the only thing I can say. And certainly you have all heard the same stories that we all hear, that FEMA has done a very poor job. Our FEMA, when we had a problem, we did record rescues. And the job that FEMA did under the Trump administration was really incredible. But they had spent, in all fairness to FEMA, they had spent hundreds of millions of dollars doing other things that I don't think bear any relationship to this money. They were not supposed to be spending the money on taking in illegal migrants, maybe so they could vote in the election, because that's a lot of people are saying that's why they're doing it. I don't know. I hope that's not why they're doing it. So they really didn't have any money. They don't have very much money. And now they're saying, can we have a special vote? Let's have a special session. I'm in favor of that, but somebody has to get back to why did they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on something that they were not supposed to be spending it on, okay?
And from that visit, Donald Trump then said, they don't need FEMA to come in, all of these states like Florida and others. You don't need FEMA, he said. And he goes, it should be the states that take care of it. Here, play this clip.
FEMA is a very expensive organization that really doesn't work out very well. It hasn't. This is not the only example. So it was up to me right now. It ended right now. And I just let the state take care of the problem. I mean, you can always have problems. Let the state, if it's Florida, it's a hurricane, let Florida take care of it. They don't need FEMA to come in.
Well, the whole thing is that FEMA works with the states. That's the way it works. This is not government efficiency. This is government cruelty, inflicting pain and suffering on North Carolina. And by the way, the North Carolina, Georgia, you voted for Trump. You voted for a guy who took away emergency disaster assistance for debris removal. who's gutting your Social Security and your Medicaid, who's cruelly firing veterans, who's cruelly destroying the federal government and getting rid of essential services that you need. You literally are voting. I mean, I'm not saying all the people in North Carolina. There's a lot of people who voted Democrat in North Carolina and Georgia as well. But the state voted Trump. And think about all those people who are voting against someone who goes, yeah, you don't deserve disaster assistance. Yeah, you don't deserve your Medicaid. Yeah, die. This is a sick regime, this Trump regime. Cruelty. You have the receipts right there. You watched it for yourself. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.